Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Brothers channel, and this is my performance review of the Under Armour, or I guess Curry brand? Because this is a Curry shoe, but it's available on the Under Armour site. But anyways, this is the Curry HOVR Splash. It's going for 110 bucks, so pretty much budget pricing. And the Curry 305 was an amazing performer, but it's pretty much the same exact shoe. Like as far as it looks the same, right? But they made some little tweaks, the material's a little bit different, and of course we have full length HOVR. So I mean, Under Armour HOVR is super nice, especially in their running shoes. HOVR Micro G, charged cushioning, but once they put it in their basketball shoes, they stiffen it up a lot. I guess, you know, as far as the designers go, they want to make like a very responsive basketball shoe, which does make sense, but I mean, like, you know, I want a nice cushioning setup in my ball shoes as well. You know what I mean? You don't have to stiffen it up like crazy. So we'll have to see how it is here in the Curry HOVR Splash. Did they stiffen it up like they usually do, or is it like super soft? Well, let's find out. Anyways, links are below if you guys do want to cop, but let's get started off with the tracciones. And if you guys didn't notice, it's pretty much the same exact traction pattern as the Curry 305. So we have this like very wavy pattern, right? And we have some really thin parts and some really thick parts, which is weird. So for durability, I actually don't know. These thin parts are super soft, but the thicker parts, it's a very rigid rubber. So it's probably not the best option for an outdoor use, but I feel like you should be like pretty good, right? But how does it perform on a clean court? So you definitely have to break it in. I feel like I broke it in for like a day or two. Like when I got it at first, it wasn't an amazing bite. And also it didn't squeak that much either. But once I broke it in and kept playing in it, it got a little bit squeakier. It's not super loud though, but there definitely is a little bit of a squeak now. And also, now that I've broken it in, the traction on the clean court is pretty good. I definitely wouldn't say it's top tier, right? If top tier is like 5 out of 5, I would say this is like a 3.5 or a 4, right? It still has a solid bite, but it's not absolutely amazing. If you're playing on a dusty court, however, it does pick up a good amount of dust. And I never really got an amazing bite, you know, on a dusty court, even if I did wipe. Like if I wiped, and also wiping isn't that easy. You have to like wipe once or twice pretty hard, like this. You know, some shoes you're just like, and you're good to go. This shoe you have to really wipe once, twice, or 3 times. And then once I did that, I had like 1 or 2 good stops, and then it would pick up dust pretty quickly, and just like didn't really bite all that well, like either on a dusty setting. So if you're playing on a dusty court, I mean, it wasn't dangerous and it wasn't terrible, but this shoe definitely isn't the best option on a dusty setting. So the traction overall, I enjoyed it. If I kept up with my wipes, it was pretty good, but I was still also playing in like the PG6, the Hardens, you know. And once I switched to those shoes, I was like, yo, the traction is so much better, the bite is so much better. So yeah, so there is the traction there. Moving on to the heel to toe transition, it's super smooth. I really like it. So it's very interesting in this shoe. I like the design where it's more like a U shape, right? So it comes up starting from like right here, right in the heel. And we have a very curved shape. It's like a rocking chair motion, you know? Very curved shape, fully exposed midsole, which allows for a lot of compression. Super soft, very smooth in the heel. And then in the forefoot, we have a very curved shape, just like in the Curry 9, which I like. And a lot of forefoot flex, but it seems to have probably just a plastic midfoot chain plate. You know, it has good torsion support. So overall, heel to toe transition is very nice. And the HOVR has a nice little subtle bounce back as well, especially here in the heel, right? So moving on to the cushioning setup, we got full length HOVR. How does it feel? It feels absolutely amazing, guys. And how does this shoe, $110 shoe, Curry's cheaper shoe, like budget shoe, have better cushioning than the Curry 9? You know, I don't like flow as far as cushion goes. It's not that nice. You know, it's more on the stiffer side of things. It's more responsive and low to the ground, which is good. But I wish it was a little bit softer. You know, I wish there was a little bit more compression. You know what I mean? Or maybe even a little bounce back, you know? So if they could, I don't know, do some R&D and make flow a little bit more like this cushioning setup, I would absolutely love that, because this is super nice. So here, I mean, if you look at the midsole, it's fully exposed, right? It's not really caged at all. I guess besides right here a little bit, you know, probably to make it a little bit more stable, right? But it still has nice compression. It's soft here in the heel. Also great core feel. You feel really low to the ground, but you have good compression. Impact protection also is great. I wouldn't say it's the best for impact protection. Like if you're doing hard impacts, your feet are gonna hurt just a tiny bit. It still has good impact protection, but comparing to like, I don't know, the Zoom GT Jump or LeBron 19 is obviously not as good as those, right? But it's adequate, but the impact protection is still really good for how low to the ground you are. And like I mentioned, you have a nice little subtle bounce here in the heel. So overall, it's a really nice responsive cushioning setup that has great compression, a little subtle bounce, and adequate impact protection. So I feel like it's a really good overall all-around cushioning setup. And as far as like foams go, you know, just foam, no zoom or anything, this is a really nice cushioning setup, and it's like top 5, top 10 cushioning setups as far as foams goes, in my personal opinion, that's available right now, right? So yeah, I really like the cushioning setup in the HOVR Splash. All right, moving on to the material. So we just have, this is an EM material. They say it's an engineered mesh. So EM, but it's just mesh, right? And it definitely reflects on the price. You know, it doesn't feel that quality, especially like the material here in the ankle area and in the tongue. And also the fuse material isn't great. But overall, it's a really thin material. Look at that, super thin. It conforms to your foot very, very well. And also we have some extra protection right here in the toe box if you do toe drags. So that'll definitely improve upon the durability and support of the material here. So I like the overall material on foot, but it definitely does feel a little cheap. And for the tongue, we have a nice little padding, right? Feels nice on top of your foot. And then here in the ankle area, I would say it's around like average. It feels pretty nice and cozy. Of course, definitely not as much as like the Kyrie's. It's more on like the minimal side, but it definitely is a little bit of foam to it, especially here in the ankle area. So overall, it felt really nice on foot. Also, for the laces, we have standard laces, and then for the bottom of the tongue, we have like an open mesh material for better ventilation. And also, for the first two eyelets on the lateral and medial side, we have like these straps that go all the way down into the material for extra support, right? Which we'll get into. So for performance and on foot, I really liked it, but definitely for quality, it does lack. All right, moving on to the fit, I went true to size and it runs short. My big toe was definitely very irritated when I was playing, right? So when I was playing in it, I didn't have too much issues, but when I was like stopping, like if I was going forward and stopped going this way, my big toe banged into the front of the shoe and it hurt. So yeah, it definitely does run short. So I would suggest going up half a size for everybody. If you have a wide foot or you want a roomier fit, definitely go up a full size. Here in the toe box, it is quite snug, but this mesh material, this EM does stretch out a lot. So it does get a lot roomier. And as far as the width goes, it is a narrow fit, just like most Curry's. So for me, the fit was great. It was a very snug fit and I liked it. It's just, it was just a little short, right? So there is the fit there. Moving on to the support and lockdown. So for lateral containment, it was good. It was adequate for me. You know, I definitely felt a lack of support though, just because this mesh material is like really, really soft. So, I mean, as far as the lateral counter goes, you have everything you need, right? The foam coming up, you have an internal TPU heel counter. You also have this like fuse material to stiffen up the mesh, right? But on top of, like right here, the material is like soft and it like rolls over on itself a little bit. So I felt my foot like moving just a tiny bit. Like I said, it wasn't terrible and it definitely wasn't a deal breaker. You know, my foot wasn't coming out of the footbed or anything. It just wasn't as supportive as like the most supportive shoes, you know what I mean? Like the Hardens or the Mellows, you know? Those, like my foot really isn't moving. This kind of reminds me of the PG6 a little bit, where it's just like, I didn't really have any issues, it's just, it didn't feel as supportive as the other shoes, right? So if you're a little bit bigger and you're doing a lot of lateral movements, cuts, step backs, crossovers, just watch out, because you'll probably feel it, or you definitely feel it a lot more than me. But for me, I really didn't mind it all too much. Also for lateral stability, I was good to go. And you have, there is a wide base and you're low to the ground. So lateral stability was good for me as well. Ankle support, non-existent. I mean, this kind of goes over your ankle bone, you know what I mean? I guess it's like a kind of a mid-top, right? But ankle mobility was still good. So I didn't really have any ankle mobility restriction, and ankle support was bad. So there is that. All right, moving on to the weight of the shoe. It's very, very light. 10.65 ounces. Let's check the other pair. 10.65 ounces, the exact same weight. Okay, that's good. So yeah, this shoe feels extremely light, super minimal on foot. I really liked how it felt, and also it plays really quick as well. When you're playing in it, you feel really fast, and it just feels like you don't really have anything on your foot, which I really like. I love the minimal feel of the material, and I really liked the cushioning setup. The traction overall was solid, it's just not top tier, and the support, I feel like it could have been a little bit better, but I didn't really mind it all too much. So overall, it felt really nice on foot when I was playing it. Alright, as far as the ventilation goes, ventilation is good. You know, there is a good amount of airflow through this EM. And also we have this open mesh for the tongue, and the material is super thin, so it doesn't really keep in heat that well. So ventilation overall was good in the Curry HOVR Splash. Moving on to the aesthetics, it's alright. It definitely looks like a budget shoe. You know what I mean? I definitely like this colorway though. The color's not a red, it's like an infrared, which I like. But the overall silhouette's alright. I definitely wouldn't say it's my favorite, but I also don't think it's terrible. So there's the aesthetics. Tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, overall it's a really solid shoe. For 110 bucks, you're getting really good performance. And the cushioning setup is really nice. I mean, like $110 shoes, you don't really get great cushion. I guess like the PG6 is cheap, so we do get good cushioning in that. I like how companies are, you know, improving the cushioning setup in like cheaper shoes. Remember, like, you know, like a long time ago, cheaper shoes had just Phylon. It was just really crap. But now companies are still like stepping it up a little bit, you know what I mean? Which I really like. But for the most part, it's a really nice cushioning setup. I would say like it's better than the Curry 9s, you know what I mean? Traction is solid, materials feel great on foot. Support I didn't really have any issues with, and I loved how it felt. It feels super lightweight and minimal on foot as well. So yeah, it's a solid option. Are there better options out there? 100%. I would say, you know, I like the PG6 better. The Zoom Separate, you know, the two-way 2, the Jordan 36 Hardens. I feel like those are better performance, and I would rather play in those, but those are more expensive than this shoe. So if you're looking to save money and you want a solid shoe, this is an amazing option. And I would recommend this shoe for quick guards. Like if you want a lightweight, very responsive feeling shoe, this is an amazing option. But anyways, that about concludes my review. Again, if you guys do want to cop, I'll leave an affiliate link in the description box, but that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.